let's talk about wealth, um, and all the different dimensions of this. And Sue, this one, I've been waiting to have this conversation with you. I guess we have this conversation over wine all the time, but to me, you have this amazing life. You're always laughing and smiling. You haven't lost the little girl. So that's not a picture of Sue, by the way.
Yeah,
It's a little
no,
girl.
no.
But to me, you haven't lost that, and yet it's kind of interesting that like Jeff, so like your husband, he what in his retirement did the certified financial planner route or something like that. So you guys definitely pay attention to that side of it in a cool geeky level, which is awesome. But to me, you pay attention to all the other things that make life worth living. So how do you see this?
Well, we've tried to be fairly holistic about things, right? And a lot of it comes back to what we were talking earlier, right? Don't make a long-term decision off of a short-term problem. We understood that again for financial wealth, it was a matter of it was going to take a while to grow this, and so we just started putting money in 401ks. We started buying the company stock, those types of things. We looked ahead to what the nice thing about construction is if you like the people you're working with, you're going to work very, very closely with them. The other nice thing is if there's people you don't like working with, it's not going to last forever, right? You get to move to the next job. So you start to, or at least I would think, you want to start to look at those things that not so much what is it that you want, what is it that you don't want, right? What are the things that you don't want, and start from there. So we tended to look at a lot of those things. I laugh at the one that says inner peace and joy. Most people don't, sit around and talk about, oh, I have inner peace and these are the things that bring me joy. But if you can sit around with a lot of people and there's a lot of laughter, there's a lot of that, you just feel better about it. I myself, actually, my husband and I both, we are huge whiteboard geeks, right? We've got 7 in our house. I got for Christmas a 4x6 double-sided magnetic rolly whiteboard that sits in the dining room, actually. But a glass of wine and trying to figure things out, we will literally roll it out into the family room and each grab a Sharpie and just start talking about things. We talk about our philosophy for whether it's philanthropy, what we want to leave to the kids, the things we want to teach the kids, all of that kind of stuff, because it just feels good to do. And frankly, most generations don't talk much about this stuff, so it made a lot of sense for us. And then in my super ultra geeky world, it was probably, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, took the CliftonStrengths assessment and got my 34 report, brought it home, had my husband read it, and he laughed through the whole thing. And I said, what is so funny about this? And he goes, this has got you written all over it. And the nice thing about that for me, it has really helped me for self-awareness. It's helped me. David's laughing because I'm having to give some context here in this, and I am not great at context, not historical context anyway. But it's helped me to gather my own self-awareness and to understand, how my husband talks and how he hears me and how I hear him. And since we've gone down that silly geeky road, we rarely, it's not that we don't disagree on content, but we rarely have arguments because we understand how each other is talking. So we've spent quite a bit of time on that, which to me rolls up into the self-actualization, the impact on others, the close relationships that, we can call it inner peace and joy, but it is literally just nobody's getting the worst of me because I'm not living there, right? I'm trying to live in my best because I know how I can do that. So, yeah, to me, a lot of it is that. And yes, we've done it for the rest of my family. And yes, they laugh every time I bring it up and all of those things, but it's been extremely helpful for us. And then when my husband retired, just like you said, he really wanted to get more into financial planning, so he got a master's in financial planning. He passed the CFP exam, so he's a certified financial planner, and we help our kids and we help our kids' friends. So that's just kind of how we look at it, as the kind of the full dimension of life is not just what we have, but what we can give back in kind of our time, our treasure, and our talent. So that's where we go with it.
And so so you took very much control, call it take control of that at your life. On the Let's go switch over to the company side now. Like how do you see this and manage this, and and to what degree do you manage this and guide along? Because like when I think about that one on longevity and health span, and the difference between those two is longevity is how long you live. Health span is within that that 100 years that you cited earlier. How many of those years am I able to go do the things that I want to do? Like I would like to be able to pick my great grandkids up off the floor and under my own power. I don't want to be sitting in a corner. I might be, but I don't. But I'm trying to do things today to go make sure that I'm physically conditioned enough so that 20 years from now I can pick my great grandkids up off the floor and they can laugh at me. Um, and I was talking to somebody the other night, and it was super good person, but had is it companies at a transition point in their growth, and he's probably put into a role that is neither well defined nor, and quite frankly, he's probably not really, doesn't have the right aptitude, doesn't have the right makeup for the role. So it's both poorly defined from the company standpoint because they're going through growth, and yet he's really probably not cut out for that role even if it were perfectly well defined. And it's just created so much stress, and he's just like, look, you go,
Yep.
and yeah, man, this has probably taken 10 years off my life. Now that's
Yeah.
probably, yeah, that's how he's feeling. But we know that stress and all of those things, they cause bad eating habits, they cause all kinds of things. And yes, it does legitimately take time off your life, and it definitely takes joy out. So when I think about that, to me, that's part of the both privilege and burden of leadership, is to go do your best to help the people that are within your care to do have these things. I don't see people
Right.
leaving companies often that have a best friend at work, type of thing, where they love coming to work. When I see teams that are getting things done, and I actually love underground because it's like some way you can be out in the mud and it's just, there's nothing going right. And the crew has a very kind of sick, twisted sense of humor, but they're definitely laughing out loud while they're mucking stuff out, breaking concrete, doing whatever hard work of the day has to be done. So I look at those things as both a human thing as the person, and I look at it as a leadership management thing as a company. How do you end up seeing this in organizational development?
Yeah, and really the pieces, to me, the basic premise behind this kind of dimension of, again, the holistic wealth of a person is also what is the holistic approach to job roles. If you have got, as a leader, as in an organization that is well aligned, and as that's the leader's really their job to help continually align the inside of the organization with the mission and vision of that organization. In doing that, do we have a good, whatever that strategy might be? If that strategy has growth, what are the new positions you're going to need? And can you vet out what those positions are, what they look like, what are the quantifiable outcomes of those roles? And not just that, but who does that role report up to? Who does that role collaborate with? And who ultimately reports to that role? And we need to put a bit more in those job roles about the people side of that. I had this was a number of years ago. It wasn't a job that I was that they were working on for me, but there was a job opening for an office manager, and a person came in and said, "Hey, I was thinking about that. What do you think? Do you have a minute to talk about it?" So we talked, and I said, "Well, why do you want to do this?" Well, of course, they went to it pays more money. I said, "Okay."
Right.
But I said, what do you think it is? And so the person described literally the best pieces of the job role. And I said, but do you also realize that when, the front office person calls in sick, you need to sit in that office and take those calls that day? You're the one that's going to have to deal with lunch and the specialty lunches from the vice president and all that. When the vice president, who sits in this one office, wants a picture hung, you're going to have to call maintenance and have it done in the 2-hour window that this person is going to be at lunch, because they don't want them in during the day, and all of these other things. They said, it's all of that. I said, I believe you can do it. I'm just not sure you want to do it. And so I think it's the organization's really responsibility to vet out the whole ultimate job role and what that role has to act like, and not just produce, right? It's got to have the behavioral piece in it as well as the production performance. So that I think is what the leaders and managers of an organization, that's their responsibility. And I think it's the person's responsibility to go, I need to know more about this role before I take it. These are the reservations that I have. If I'm going to have to do performance reviews, I just don't know that I want to do that. And then the organization, the leaders in the organization have to be okay with the person loving the job they have and not necessarily wanting the job we would like them to take. So there's a
Right.
lot of understanding of those roles and the the correct connection between the performance and the behavior of that role and the person that's going to be in it. Both of those have to fit for it to be something that someone can look at holistically and really thrive in, and find their inner peace and their joy and their self-actualization, and have a good impact on others and have those close relationships, because they've chosen the role as much as the role has been, described to them. It's a good fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so they can do, want to do, needs to be done. Yeah, that's the hard triangle, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It is, because we want people, and society's told people forever, just like that last slide, right? You should be on that green line, and you should want to be the leader of over here. And it doesn't have to be about the money. Not a lot of money will pay for things that you just don't want to run to every day.
Right. No, really good points.